Hey, good evening to you all. Good evening to you all. God is in the blessing business. You know what? We are going to open up before I get started. We are going to open up with a prayer to the God of our understanding. Most gracious Heavenly Father, I thank you for everything. We thank you for everything you do and have done and that's going to do in our lives. Things that we don't even see, things that is coming that we don't know nothing about, and the way we work it out with your presence and your help and your gift, making things different and changing lives. I thank you for the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous program. We have been through so many steps, so many things, so many highlights and downfalls, but through it all, we still are here and we are clean and we are surviving and we are alive. Thank you for all the treatment facilities. Thank you for all the centers. Thank you for the inpatient, outpatient, the work that them counselors and therapists do to help change people's lives. I thank you for waking us all up this morning and giving us and letting us have the right mind and the willing to keep on moving and keep on changing. Thank God for the 12 step. It's been good to us. And for that, I am grateful. My God, my God, my God. Hey, y'all. How you doing? Oh, wow. What a step. What a step. What a step. And I've been all over the place today thinking and realizing what step 4 is. Step 4 made a searching and fearless inventory of ourselves. You know, this step has prepared us, and this step has made us aware of the things we have done, and even in the midst of fearing and wondering, is the outcome gonna be good? Or is the outcome going to be a situation that we can't handle? But this step we must do. We must start cleaning out our closet and looking at our lives and call it for what it is. And I know for a fact that this step helped saved us, helped carried us, and enlightened us to be a better person in recovery. You know, I wanted to give a shout out to the convention for yesterday. It was Friday, Saturday, and I guess the closing was today. But I went yesterday and I seen people that I hadn't seen in years, and I enjoyed myself. But you know, I don't never stay too long no more because, you know, I try to get in before it gets dark, or getting close to dark. But anyway, it was beautiful to see all the peoples that have changed their lives, have made different ways to deal with anything they gonna deal with. No matter what, they still clean. And that's what I looked at when I was sitting there. We was at a women's rap. And before I get into our topic, we was at a women's rap called Women's Rap. And I heard two magnificent women speaking. And one of them had me in tears. You know, I haven't not cried at a convention, I bet you, in over 20 years. You know, and this lady was awesome. Both of them was awesome. But it was the first one. You know, she enlightened me that no matter what happens in life, you got to get through, to go through, to make it through, and to change your way of thinking, how you handle things, situation. And it would also let me know, which I already knew, but the way she explained it and the pain and the things that she went through, but she still was clean, you know, had me in tears. She had 7 kids, from Chicago. It was a speaker. And this lady, I tell you, knew how to bring a message about pain, about how she did it. And no matter what, you have to still remain to stay clean. And she talked about having two sons that was killed. I believe she said 2022 and 2018. And then on top of that, she had another son that was shot, and he was paralyzed. Crying all while she was talking. Tears rolling down my face. No greater gift can come to us. Learning how to nurture ourselves and protect ourselves and heal ourselves in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous program. This is an awesome program. Very awesome. I felt for that mother, because we all mothers. You know, to have, hey Gertrude, to have two kids. She spoke from Chicago, to have two kids that was murdered to the streets of violence. And then to have another son that was shot and paralyzed for the rest of his life. But yet she was able to still come and speak. And she spoke very well. And she had a lot of people in tears along with her tears. But it was awesome. I could have been in a better place than I was yesterday. I couldn't have been. To lose two kids and to lose another one to being paralyzed. The streets of Chicago. I wanted to give a shout out to her. I enjoyed her. You know, I had to get up and hug her. She probably don't know who I am. It didn't matter. The hug was genuine. I see my sister Evangelist Selena Green is on. Y'all want to get a blessing? Tune in on Tuesday night as she give a word that we all can use. And I'm her biggest fan. So before we go on, this step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. This step wasn't a good step for me. It was very painful for me. But I had to take an inventory of how did I get to where I had gotten. How did we get to the shape that we was in order to recover? You know, it says made a searching. I mean, we had to do some deep work. We had to do some, you know, this step I really like because this step made me realize that I'm not perfect. This step, hey Frank, this step made me realize that I am human. You know, this step right here made a searching and fearless inventory, a more inventory of ourselves. And this was a deep step because you have to realize when we come into recovery, you know, we come in broken and we in many pieces and we trying to get our lives together. We embarrassed, we shame, you know, we in the midst of confusion. We know that we can't use. We know we don't want to use. We know we don't need to use. And we know we need to change our lives. So we went through, and I'm not just saying this about me. I'm telling you, hey Lois, I'm telling you, we all went through some stuff in order to recover. See, a lot of people, you know, they don't know what we have to endure and go through in order to get to the place that we need to go. And when I said made a searching, I mean, I dug and I digged and I tried to find, you know, what took us to a place of gravity that we would do the insane things that we done and the peoples that we hurt and how we was hurt in the process. And I know for a fact that, you know, the number one person that I heard it or you heard it was yourself. And when we can understand that, that's how we can do this, you know, making this searches, than searching and fearless more inventory. Man, when I start going back and I start looking back over my life and I start seeing all the chaos and all the things that I had got myself in and I didn't know and see no way out. I just thought I was continue to use, and I thought I would always be that crackhead, that dope fiend, that alcoholic. You know, I always didn't give me that hope. You know, hope had left us. You know, that's one thing. That's why we come into recovery, because hope leaves us and guilt hunts us. And now we got to do this searching and fear is more inventory of ourselves. You know, and on my site, I am on YouTube too. So you would have to get it off my site that I am on YouTube too. That I am so grateful. I am so grateful that a God of my understanding would have nurtured me and love us enough to put us in an atmosphere of around counselors and therapists and the NA meeting and dealing with other people's and hearing other people's story. But that convention was awesome. You know, I couldn't even go to sleep last night thinking of a mother that endured all the things, losing 2 kids, then having another kid that's paralyzed for the rest of her life. And you know, and that's taking that, you know, that's going back, nurturing us to realize that we can't use no matter what. I don't care what happens. I always tell you that. You know, at one of the meetings, you know, one of the guys, and he's my friend. You know, it was so many of them. I couldn't take pictures of everybody, but I took some pictures of the peoples that was back when I came in, and, you know, and it was very warming and grateful. It was gratefulness all through the convention, to seeing all walks of life, all different stories, but we know we can't use no matter what. And I had got to a point, you know, that when I did this 4 steps, you know, I tried to stay away from them, but you can't work none of them unless you work all of them. And I had to realize that. And, you know, my sponsor told me that, you know, no matter what you don't like or you don't want to deal with, you must deal with it in order to stay clean. So when I start making a searching and a fearless more, when it's more, it's deep. You know, it ain't all about what I done. It's all about what was done to me. It was all about why did we get to the place that we got to? Why did we take the easy way to just not deal with nothing, to not deal with no pain, to not deal with, you know, heartbreaks, to not deal with bottoms, you know, but this step start bringing up some things that I had to go back and visit. And going back and visit, it was very painful for me because, and I'm sure it was painful for you all too. See, did none of us get to recovery without working a program? And one person that you can't lie to is yourself. You can lie to everybody else like I did. You can lie to everybody else. But you can't lie to yourself. It's in you. You won't forget. It'll come up and pop up at any given time. So I know that to work a program and see multiples of years, 6 months, 30 days, you know, 9 months, multiples of years. We had peoples in there with 40 years, 39 years. You know, we had peoples, and you know, I went and bought me a NA brooch, and I had never bought one of them, and I bought me one and supported our one of our guys who do the shirts and the hoodies, you know, and I just had fun spending money. And the money I was spending, it wasn't going to drugs. So that was a blessing right there within itself, you know, and to dig in my past and to confront some things that I never confronted, to get an input of just how ugly and nasty things had got. Things had got. You know, I've come too far to not know that no matter what happens in my life, I don't have to use. And that's the good part about it. I'm on a good foundation, and I hope you all are on a good foundation, the one that's working the program, the one that's still clean. Yeah, I'm gonna always be still clean, because I ain't never gonna use. But what I was saying when I went to the convention, God said he was glad to see me. I hadn't seen him in a while. And he was like, told another guy that was from Texas, he, moved to Texas, he was here. And he said, the preacher woman, look, I ain't no preacher. I'm just human. I had to learn how to get better. Hey, Lords, I had to learn how to get better. But when he said that, I thought about it. Maybe he said it. I know he didn't say it to be ugly, but I know sometimes in the spiritual realm, when I get happy and I get to expressing how, and when I get this expressing and get to talking and I get happy, I might sound like a preacher, but I don't give myself that title. I give myself a recovering addict that had to struggle to get to where I'm at today. So, when I get into that spiritual part, yeah, I get happy. I say how I feel. I don't have to hide. We as family don't have to hide no more. I don't have to hide for nothing. All my life, all I did was hide. I never told the truth. I always hide behind my personality, my character defect. But when I had to go and make this step 4, man, it took me a long time on step 4. People don't think you can just go through these steps 1, 2, 3. No. You can look at them, you can revise them, and you can see and kind of, but I looked up everything. I went through dictionaries. I really wanted to know what these steps meant. But in the process of me recovering, it was very painful. Because you come into recovery, do not mean that you're going to go through some difficulties. It means that you're going to still go through difficulty, things in our life that's going to happen, but we have to learn how to deal with it and nurture it and see how the outcome is going to come out, to see if we can use the tools that was brought to us to use so we cannot use. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of all these steps. It's looking at the steps, identifying ourselves in the steps, bringing us out into the step, and identifying what part of the step hit us the most, or what part of the steps we can visit later. What part of the steps are we in now? And they just beautiful steps. As long as God is in anything, I cannot win. I cannot lose. Like I tell everybody, this is a gift. I'm always say it's a gift. It's a second chance of life. It's a gift of following the instruction that the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous have gave to me, and to look at them and see what part that I play in it. And every step that I have worked on and every step that I have talked about, I played everything in it. I played everything in these steps because, I was a broken vessel. And when you're a broken vessel, all you got to do is just focus on yourself and look at what you need. I had to find a way with what made me turn to drugs, what made me do the insane things that I done, what made me hurt people that I love, what made me turn people away from dealing with me, what made me look at what did I do so bad to when people see me coming, they didn't want to be bothered with me. I had to learn that. I had to learn that. Hey, auntie. Hey, boom, boom. I had to learn that. Hey, Molly. Hey, thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being a part of my recovery. Thank y'all for taking out time to visit these steps and see what you get out of it. Because I know when I made a searching and fearless more inventory of myself, I got scared because I didn't want to get overwhelmed. And one thing about a recovering addict, when they trying to come out of something and go into something new, that rejection, that inventory, that, we want to deny this. We don't want to do this. We don't want to even visit this. But you must visit all pain in order to recover. I don't care what nobody tell you. You got to go through something to get through something to know something. You have to learn about you, because this recovery is about you. It's about helping another individual too. It's about telling your story. It's about relating your story to their story and your story to yours, because we all had a walk of life. We all went through some pain and miserable and some deception and trying to get accountability of learning why we did the things, and some of the things that I had to visit, it put me in another atmosphere. I was clean, but I was in pain doing this step. I was in pain. I don't know about nobody else. I'm just telling you about me. I just know I was in pain. And when I listened to all that other pain yesterday at the convention, I realized one thing. We all had one thing in common. We don't have to use. No matter what circumstances happen in our life, even when I took this searching and when I took this more inventory, I went through some changes. I had to call my sponsor on some things. I just was feeling so bad sometimes after I would do this step. Because I couldn't believe in the life of me that I stooped that low. But see, I have to remember this is an addiction. Addiction take you many places. It take you to things that it'll make you do the thing that you couldn't even phantom of somebody else doing to you. But that's what addiction does. But I also had to learn, as I did this more inventory, it was a reason why I was hurt. It was a reason why I was always running. It was a reason why I was always covering up pain. I was always covering up my feelings. It was always, I was hiding behind drugs and alcohol or whatever the drug is, because I did it all. I don't even know how I'm still alive. I don't even know how I'm finna be 64 years old in December, 65 in December, because I always thought I would die early. And that's the honest to God truth. If you don't never believe nothing I said, that's why I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for every minute, every second, every hour, every week, every month, and every year, because it was some things that I allowed to happen into my life that brought me to the lowest point of my life. Some of the things that I have judged other people's for doing, or we have judged other people's for doing, and everything that we judged about everybody else, we became that everybody else. That's why we grateful. That's why they have conventions. That's why they have meetings. That's why they have support meetings, because we need support, even being clean. And when I had to go back and revisit that fourth step, I did a lot of stuff. I did so much stuff. I had to take this brain and I had to analyze it, and I had to just take it one day at a time, because I did too much stuff. In order to recover, you must revisit your crime of activity, your lying, your deception, your accountability of hurting other people's, all the lies we told to get one more. But then as I start doing the fourth step, I went through changes. I went through changes of bitterness. I went through changes of ugliness. I went through changes of being sorry. I went through changes of being ungrateful. I went through changes. It put me in all them different areas until I kept going. It's a closet that you got to get to in step 4, when it says taking that more of and searching of it and of me. It ain't just all the ugly stuff I did. I had to take a more inventory of myself. Why did I get like that? What was the perception of me keep using and put me in different areas of my life that could have killed me long time ago? So made a searching. So I had to search and I had to remember and I had to get a pen and I had to write and I had to write and I had to write in order to realize the drug had took all the joy away from us. It didn't leave us with nothing. It was the disease of an addiction is not something that's really good at all. It brings us down. It makes us low. It makes us hit rock bottom. It makes us not like ourselves. It makes people not like us. It separates families, separate husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, separate our kids. It breaks down the family, having a family. And then all of a sudden we come into this thing called recovery. And, and I love recovery because every day it's a grateful day. And when I tell you that, I mean that for all sincere, because if you went through what Boom Boom went through, if you went through what Lois went through, if you went through what many people like my auntie went through, then you would also know what I'm talking about. You have to go through something in order to realize that I don't want to be that. I don't want to be in that place no more. That place is not a welcoming place for me. I cannot endure the things that I went through. I just can't. Sometimes hey, Leslie, good to see you, baby. Sometimes we go through things in life that we don't want to even talk about. Sometimes I can walk up on a person and I know they're going through something. I know, I feel it. I know. Or I can go on site and tell that person is struggling in something because I was once that person. I was once that person. I don't care what nobody say. I had so many different characters and so many different personalities. And step 4 said we have to get to that point to make a searching and fearless inventory. That means it ain't going to be nothing nice. It can't be nothing nice if we was using drugs. We got to take that inventory of how some of our consequences come up into the present right now while we clean. Making that searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. I have been reminded, making that inventory, some of that inventory, the things I have done and the wreckage of my past and the wreckage of my attitude and my behaviors and all the how I sold myself out to keep somebody, or how I sold myself out for somebody to like me, how I used to buy people to like me. Well, you know what? See, now I don't have to do that because I come natural. We become natural. We learn if you don't want me, then hey, I don't want you. That's me. I can't speak for everybody. But I had never got to that point until I came into the Narcotics Anonymous program. I had to accept that I'm in love with me. For the first time, we realized that we in love with somebody other than somebody else. It becomes ourselves. And that's why I say this is a gift. It's a gift to let us know that when we take this more inventory, it ain't going to be nothing nice. It can't be. Going back in our drama past, come bringing that up to the present, because, we kept getting high for a reason. It ain't because we like to get high. That was one of it. I just like to get high. I like to drink. I like to pop pills. I like to do it all. Because see, when I did that puts me in another atmosphere where I ain't got to deal with pain. I ain't got to do no searching. I ain't got to remember until I'm ready to remember. I don't have to deal with nobody. All I can do is use. Use and sleep. Use and sleep. Or use, sleep, go to work. Use, sleep, and go. That was my life. Until I came into the program of Narcotics Anonymous. And I did all of it. So I go to an AA meeting, I go to a CA meeting, I go to an NA meeting. Narcotics Anonymous mean all type of drugs, all drugs, you know. And once I learned that, I'm like, well, shoot, I'm in the right place because I did it all. I did it all. You know, and sometimes, you know, even being clean, I have days where I'm not likable because I don't show being likable. But that's just that day. We go through them feelings. We go through that feelings where I might shut down on you. I go through that. That don't mean because I got clean, I got perfect. That means when I got clean, I worked on ourselves. We work on ourselves to get better. And to get better, you still gonna have days where you just don't want to be bothered. I have them days. I'm not telling you no lie. I have them days where I don't want to see nobody. All I want to do is be in love with me for that day. I just want to settle down, stay to myself, go back down, back memory lane and think about why am I grateful? Why did I do this, step 4? And step 4, what did step 4 do to me? What did step 4 do for me? Well, step 4 really enlightened me that this disease of an addiction is very common and it take you and it's very powerful. And how did I let a dope or a drug or alcohol steal part of my life? You know, how did I get to that place? You know, we get to that place because we lying to ourselves. We want everybody to think that things is perfect. You know, because one thing about recovering addicts, or one thing about a using addict, I know for a fact, we know how to hide. And we know how to hide well. We know how to hide our feelings. We don't want some people to know what the things that we done. We don't want people to know that I hurt a lot of peoples. You know, how family got broke down through our using, how arguments got started through our using, how rejection and denial came in through our using. You taking that step 4, you got to be, because if you really work on a program, you got to get to the point. You got to get to the nature of the principle of why we use and why did we do the things. And you know, some things that I didn't like about step 4, I had to take an inventory, a very more deep and the more deep inventory of the things that I once wanted to forget. Hey, Tammy, wanted to forget. Things that I wanted to forget. Things that I didn't even want to think about. But in these steps, you're going to have to get to it in order to recover. You know, you can, look. You can be clean. You can be clean. And some of your behavior, that's why I tell people when you're in recovery, you can't just work on the drug part. You got to work on the person that took you to the drug. You know, you got to work on that person and identify why and what you need to do in order to maintain with this step 4. Step 4 was very deep for me. I said it was a good step because it got me to a place that I can trust me. It got me to a place where I can feel better about the pain that I got high about. See, I got high because I was in a lot of pain. Oh, guess what? Sometimes you can't see pain. Sometimes you can't see it. Sometimes pain will hide. It'll manifest and you won't see nothing. You know, we as using addicts, we come in and we already, even when we come in, we still hide it. We ain't ready to tell the truth. We ain't ready to let you know all the stuff we went through. We ain't ready to let you know all the pain and how we got hurt and how people's used us and how people's took from us. The more we give, the more they want it. The more we do, the more they wanted us to do. So I had a lot of stuff that I had to deal with, and I'm sure you have too. But some people don't know. You know, I always tell people, be mindful how you treat people even in recovery. I spoke about that Friday night. Because of the old school people, don't forget these young people still coming in, and they ain't where we at. They ain't where the old school people's at. They young, they new, they coming in, it's fresh. Remember how we were young coming in and it was new. And anything you say to people or do to people can hurt them and run them back out there. Okay, if certain things can't be done in a meeting because of the tradition, take people to the side and tell them. You know, I don't like when you try to bust people's out and then you see this person one way and now they mad and now they angry. Now they leave a meeting. This person left a meeting because you couldn't wait to tell this person about the 12-step tradition. You know, newcomers, they don't get on the 12-step tradition. They trying to finally work the 12 steps. So it's certain things they don't know. And when I saw this person go from happy to mad, and, you know, it just bothered me. And I'm an old school. And I ain't gonna do that. I would take you outside or wait till after it's done and go to you and tell you, not humiliate you, not hurt you, because everybody ain't dealt with everybody that's young that comes into recovery. You know, even when they tell me, Miss Renee, I go through them, but I ain't studied the steps yet. I said, well, just kind of go through that's where your sponsor come in, and that's where your help come in. I always tell them, don't try to run through these steps because you can't. You're going to miss something about you if you don't. You got to get in these steps and you got to read these steps and you got to look up certain words and you got to understand, you know, how did I get to this place? Like we admitted that we was powerless. I already knew I was powerless. I already knew I couldn't get high, but it was I willing to surrender? See, that was the part, you know, and so when I go to step 4 and step 4 tells me, you know, you have to go back. You got to do some inventory of everything. You got to do some inventory of your life, your pain, your rejection, your denial, your hurting people, you breaking down. You know, it's a lot in step 4. So don't do step 4 until you're really ready. And have a sponsor. Have a sponsor when you get to step 4. And I had a sponsor for almost 3 years, a little bit over 3 years before I even got to step 4. I stayed on I'm still on step 1. I always be on step 1. You know, I'm powerless. You know, my life became so unmanageable. That's why I'm here talking to you all. And it's okay. Hey, Johnny, it's okay. It's okay when our lives become unmanageable. Even in recovery, long as we don't use. Because see, sometimes when you get clean, things happen. We make mistakes. We make a bad decision. We get into an argument. Some things gonna happen in your recovery. But the only thing that you can change when that happens is don't pick up and don't use. So taking a more inventories is a deep number for step 4. Step 4 ain't no joke. Because now you got to go take a more inventory. You got to get deep. You got to go to God. You got to ask God, how did this happen? You got to get deep and you got to get deep. I got so deep. I had to go back to pain that had happened to me. Some things that I have yet talked about when I was 6 years old. You know, some things that happen in our past when people have molested us and touched us in the wrong way, and we know it was wrong, but it became a good feeling, and then we brought that good feeling into our present as we got older, and then now don't forget we got other pains that we still ain't yet deal with. We got other pains that we ain't yet deal with. So now think about how a child can go back to 6 years old, 5 years old, 3 years old, 12 years old, and think about how you touched me or how you groped me or how you kissed me or how you hated me or how you denied me or how you rejected me. And then as we still getting older, we got more pain. We got some pain that we yet didn't know was coming, but it came to us. It came through us in a relationship. It came through us in a mother. It came through us in a father. It came through us through family. It came through us through friends. So, you know, as we get older, older, we took all that drama past, making a search. I had to make that decision to won't even do this step, because this step just ain't no easy step. And people think that. That's why I met a girl yesterday. She said, "Well, I've been clean almost 3.5 years, and I ain't even got to step 2 yet." I say, "You good. Don't be in no rush to rush your recovery. You just stay clean. Because everything that you need to do for yourself, you're going to get to the point where you're going to know how to nurture you, and you're going to know how to take in what you need to take in. And then you're going to get to the point to where when you need to talk and free yourself, you're going to know how to do that too." And one thing I learned about recovery, I holds nothing now. I can speak. See, it's a different way that you act when you get clean. When you get clean, you done addressed. You done did this searching and fearless. Things I didn't even want to deal with, I had to deal with. I had to be honest. I had got to a place in my life working these steps, that step 4 was a step that but see, step 1, 2, and 3 got me ready for step 4. It gets you ready for step 4. I always say 1, 2, and 3. He can, I can't, so I let him. I let him. I had to let somebody help me with my life. I had to let somebody. I had this thing where I didn't want nobody to know I was hurting. I didn't want nobody to know that I can feel. I didn't want to let everybody know that I had some hate for some people. And I didn't want you to know I was ugly like that. I didn't want you to know that I was carrying guilt. I didn't want you to know that I was carrying pain. So I hid it. And I hid it very well because I used very well. I used day and I used at night. And sometimes I tell people one thing that you got to watch when you come into a recovery is overwhelming yourself. Letting people put stuff on you, letting people pull you into some things that ain't even your problem. I don't do that no more. See, when we come into recovery, before we got to a recovery, we had some things that we had to identify in step 4. Why did I pick up everybody's problem? Taking a more inventory of myself. Why did I pick up everybody else's problem? Why did I carry everybody else? Why did I feel that I had to be the nurturing one of the family because I was the oldest one? Why did I try to buy people? Why did I try to make people like me? What was it about me that I didn't like about me? And I can tell you what it was. Some of it anyway. I can tell you it was caretaking. I didn't like that about me. I can tell you it was giving without no thought, just giving, because that's the way I saw my mother all the time. She was a giver, always helping, always doing, not looking back, not wanting nothing back. She just did it because it was naturally in her soul, and I always wanted to be like my mama. So my mama was my hero. My mama was the person that I watched and picked up some habits from her that I liked. And the habits that I really liked, them the habits that made me get myself in trouble. And now I can see why my mother cried a lot. Why I can see why my mother's feelings would get hurt so fast. Because when we come into a recovery, we are users. We have damaged ourselves. We had came to the point in our lives, we had all kind of issues. And I tell people, the disease of an addiction is bad. It's powerful. It's conning. And but one thing that I had to learn about this disease, that it can stay there. That disease I have is still here in me. But it's the way and what I do to check it every day. And the way I check it every day is I don't use. And then I had to realize that, when you pick up and when you stop and you tell yourself, now I don't know if y'all can relate to me, but I know when I was using, I would use for 3-4 weeks straight up. And then I would say, I'm done. I'm done. I would be standing over the toilet, throwing up, putting my hand in my mouth so I can throw up and feel better, I'm done. God, if you just help me, I will not use again. And then the next 3 or 4 days, then I'm back using again. What happened to God? I'm asking you for help. What happened to me telling God that I would never use again? What happened to all the promises that I made God? But see, he's the type of God that will still love you no matter what you say and how you say it and what you do and how you do. He still know you. Don't nobody know you more than God himself. And I had to learn that. All the lies. And so when I did this more inventory, when I went back and I thought about some of the deepest things, I mean some bad things, some things that I had done, some things that I know I had done that I thought I would never revisit again, I had to, because that was the thing that was holding me and keeping me bound and keeping me using, because I had secrets. And secrets make you sick, or not telling a person how you feel. See, I couldn't tell people, they say I was boisterous, I was angry. I was, because a lot of people didn't know I was using. So I stayed angry and I stayed mad, but I dressed up a lot. I dressed it up to make myself look good and feel good, but I wasn't really feeling good. I was walking pain all through the house every day. I think about something and I couldn't shake it, or I go to bed at night and I couldn't shake it, or I wake up in the morning and couldn't shake it. How somebody hurt me, or how I allowed myself to hurt myself. How did we get to a point to where we outside chasing drugs? Well, we outside sticking our hands in somebody's door that we couldn't even see. We just stick our hand and get whatever was gave to us. We don't know that disease of an addiction. We didn't know what we was taking. We didn't know what we was drinking. I remember one time I went out to a bar and I was drinking. Somebody put something in my drink. Only through the grace of God that I didn't die. And I don't know how I ended up in this man's bed. I don't know how I ended up in this house. I can't tell you from day one how, I thought about that. That was a point in my life where he could have took me, killed me, hung me, cut me. He could have gave me AIDS, gave me this, gave me that. We just put ourselves in the midst of trouble. We put ourselves in the midst of when we use, because when we use, we not all in. And when you ain't all in, you can't see right. You can't see right. You can't fathom the things that we go through in the uses of our using. So I had to find out that when I made this searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves, and you included, and myself, it was painful. It was hurtful. It was painful. Because when we using, now we don't have the accountability to even want to stop. We don't have the accountability to even want to get no help. I told God, I said, God, hey, God, I can't do this no more. Can you come and help me? And all of a sudden, God come in here and he fixed the things that I couldn't fix. He changed the things that I needed to be changed. He put me in a place where things got better. And then I turned around and did what? I went back to using. Things got double worse. Things got double worse. Yeah, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I had to come to a deception of if I was my friend, I wouldn't like me neither. Because I know for a fact, when I did this searching and more inventory, and then, I had to get some paper. One of my sponsors already got the same sponsor, but my sponsor told me, said, Renee, when you take this inventory, don't take it lightly that everything in your personal more inventory is going to be good. Because most of it is ugly. And she wasn't lying. I did a lot of stuff. And, on the top of it, it was stuff I did every day. Taking somebody's money, lying to somebody, I did a lot of stuff. And that's okay. because I'm still human. And God still loves us no matter what we have done, what we have said, and how we thought. My premeditated thinking got me in a lot of trouble because of the disease of an addiction, wanted some more drugs in my body. And once I learned that I am who I am now, I am not the past no more. I am in a better future, and I don't hold on to the things that I can't change. Even in my life today, I don't deal with people that's going to cause me problems. This is crazy. Even when you go to meetings and peoples are clean, it's still people that don't like you. And that right there used to bother me. That right there kept me using. But once I did an inventory, I said, okay, Renee, why did you do the inventory? Taking a personal inventory, a more personal inventory of yourself. Ain't them the reasons why, some of the reasons why you got high? Because you didn't like yourself, but you wanted everybody to like you? Or you go into a bar or you go into a place and you wanted to walk in with everybody like you because you didn't know how to deal with rejection and denial or somebody not liking you, so you buy everybody a drink? Renee, ain't this why you did this moral inventory of yourself? To bring out the worst characters that you had in you and to bring you to a point in your life where you can deal with them. This is what step 4 is about. Helping us deal with the pain and the ugliness and the deception of why we did what we did, to get gratification on people's liking us, or to put certain peoples in our circle that we knew that they had our back and all the time they didn't. Have you ever had a friend that you thought that was your best friend and all of a sudden your best friend turned out to be your enemy? Hey, that's part of life. But see, all the things that when I did this step 4 and I went through and I did that inventory and I started writing. And for a whole week, I didn't understand why in the life of me, I was still writing. My sponsor said everything that was deep, the more inventory that you taken, the tear up that hurt you the most, and the things that you went through that got you to do this drug and why you don't like the drug now. She said, write it down. And I mean, for a whole week, I was still writing. And then I had to think, man, all these years I was clean and I still was clean now. I'm clean now. All this time that I had to do this step 4 and I'm clean, that I ain't never even visit. I had never even visited most of the stuff. I'm still clean, working on the drug part, not the craving part, so I won't crave. Because when you get off drugs, you're going to crave. You're going to still want what you had that helped you to get over whatever you're going to go through. And so I realized, no. Let me visit. Let me deal with this one-on-one. Let me get very naked and tell on myself, and get myself better. So I know when this come into my life, me being clean, I don't have to deal with it. I can make better choices. I can make better choices. We can think we really know somebody and don't know them at all. We would think that we in love with somebody or really care about somebody, and then all of a sudden the person can do some things that we just thought they would never ever do to us. That's pain. And then we got to learn how to forgive. I had to learn how to forgive. I had to learn how to forget all the nights that I cried because you hurt me. All the things that I did to get you to keep you to love me. You can't never keep nobody to love you, because the person that you trying to keep to love you is broken themselves. But we don't want to look at that. We in denial. We get in denial about that. No, that person loved me. That person wouldn't do that. That person. And we know we done seen some things in this person, even in my inventory, going back to all the husbands I had, and all the stuff I went through. in my using, and I had to look at, I'm like, man, all the stuff that I thought he wouldn't do to me and the things that I was doing to him, hell, he was broken just like I was. But we always see the addict, always see the good in the next person, and the person is just as bad as we became before we realized we needed help. Had to. That's why, when I take that inventory, this is why I'm so picky. This is why I'm so careful. It ain't that I can't get a man, but is he a good man? Is he a godly man? Is he a righteous man? It ain't that I can't get in there, and I meet him all the time, but I'm picky. I'm picky because I used to didn't be picky. I used to be loving and kind, take you in when you broken, denial what I see. I needed somebody to love me because I hadn't yet learned how to love myself. So I took in all your pain, all your deceptions, all your characters. I took in all your lying. I took in all your manipulating. I saw it. I seen it. But sometimes in our life when we so broken and we have to learn how to come to a point in our life, you're going to stay broken if you don't learn how to fix what is broken. And I didn't come into recovery to keep being the same pain to myself that I was. I didn't come into recovery. I wanted change. When they tell you that recovery is a supernatural, spirituality, a thing that gets you right and connected with the right peoples and get you connected with your high power and get you to connected with the 12 steps and get you to connected with yourself. First time in my life that I did something that was powerful, self-worth. It made me better. I'm better than I ever been. And sometimes that can be scary too. Sometimes that can be scary because we were so used to messing up. We were so used to creating our own problem. We were so used to picking up everybody else's problem, so it gets scary when we just don't care no more. We get to that point, what God got for you, you're going to get it anyway. So you just got to have a patience and enough time and enough willingness to just wait. I ain't finna talk to every dude that talked to me. I ain't hard up. Back then when I was using, I was hard up. Everybody that thought I looked nice, everybody that said I smelled good, everybody that gave me a compliment. Hey, I'm way past that now. I can walk past some good looking men, and it was some at the convention. But it's so good that I can look and see a new life in a person, and he's good, and I don't want you. I don't want you because you married. I don't want you because you got another girlfriend. These are the habits and character defects that I had. I thought I could get any man I wanted. That's what the disease of addiction I have you fooled on. Because some of them things that I picked up, I should have shot my own self. Because some of the pain, a lot of the things that I picked up was, some of them other women's and wives probably was thanking me. But I didn't know that at the time. So sometimes I just have to nurture. I'm laid back now. I'm cool. I ain't trying to rush nothing. Because, see, the fourth step made me really look. It made me really look and take a fearless inventory of how this brain thinks. How this overthinking and this compulsiveness that we have in us. How we think. How one time things can be good and then all of a sudden here go that dirty mind of ours. Here go that doggone Satan trying to get in. You have to remember that he ain't done with us. He's still coming after us. He still wants some of us. He still want me to pick up. He still want me to take a drink. He still want me to go get high. He still want me to sleep with people's husbands. He still want me to just, whatever hurt or whatever I'm going through. Like when my mother died, when my son died, man, I was so hurt. I didn't even know where to put all these feelings. I'm telling you, I had to call my sponsor. I had to call people. I was scared I was going to use. All them years I had, over 30 years, it was probably around 26 or 7 at the time when my mother died and then my son died years later, but honey, I had to, that's why they tell you got to nurture yourself in this program, because if you don't nurture yourself in this program, you will go back. And then you're going to ask yourself, how did I relapse? How did I get like that? What did I do wrong? Why didn't I stop going to meetings? Why did I stop going to things that was healthy for me? Why did I not look at that? Why did I not nurture that? Why did I not take care of me? So these are the reasons why I'm like that, and I have days to where, the kids say, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just, falling in love with me by myself right now. I'm dealing with some things that you don't have. Kids don't understand. You don't have no idea what I'm going through. But I'm not going to take it out on you like I used to. See, when I was upset and mad, and when I couldn't understand why did I want to keep using drugs? Why did I take my bill money and buy drugs? Why did I know I had to pay a car note and went and spent all my money on drugs? Why did I drink all day and let people come in here and take things out of my house? Why did I steal from somebody? I had this inventory. I was scared of this step 4, because when you get butt naked and honest, and you have to learn how it says I made a searching. I decided that I was going to deal with this step no matter what. Come on, I'm ready. I had like 3.5 years, a little bit, when I got on this step. And I wasn't ready for this step. And then me and my sponsor, she told me to write some things. And everything that my sponsor did and said to me, I picked her. And I had to ask myself, why did I pick her? And it was because I saw something in her that I wanted. So I had to take suggestions. I had to do what she told me to do. Then she told me, get in and do some service work. And I didn't want to do that. But I did. Everything she suggested to me, I did. But honey, when I made, it didn't say he made. I made a searching and fearless more inventory. And it was painful. It's very painful. I can't even explain to y'all how painful. Some days I would just take the paper down and just throw it down and start crying and get in a depressed mood. And then I had to hurry up and put on some kind of spiritual music, and I had to go back and revisit it again, because my job for step 4 and any other step was not to give up, because if it was that easy, would nobody have to do it? So I had to work on step 4. And some people's, when I went to the convention yesterday, I went with an open mind that I was going to see people I hadn't seen in 20 years, almost 25 years, 15 years, 11 years. And I saw not all of them. Some of them still didn't come. Some of them are dead. So the ones I saw, I was so happy to see them. And, everybody saying, oh, Renee, you look, what happened to you? You lost half of you. They right, because I was 504 pounds. And now I'm like 220. I had to get honest. I didn't want to get honest. Why y'all want me to get honest? Why y'all want to know what happened in my life? Why y'all want to know what I did? Who business is it? You telling me I can come to recovery and I can get clean and I got a therapist and a counselor. Why y'all want to know all this stuff? Y'all trying to get in my personal life? And I had a counselor, say, what personal life? You here because in your personal life, you made bad choices and bad decisions would land you to doing drugs and alcohol. I don't want nobody to know I'm hurting. I don't want nobody to know that, me, I was surprised with myself when I was only a couple of weeks and I was all over the place around the time when the flood, 8th of August, 8th or 9th. And I was all over the place all day thinking about my mama, thinking about my son. They ain't here. I woke up overthinking. Then the flood. Then I lost everything in the basement. Then I'm thinking I go back and I miss my son. I miss my mama. Miss my boyfriend because he sure enough loved me. I don't think I ever found that love. Ain't no love the same. But that man loved everything about me. My toenails, my fingernails, everything. I probably won't ever find that no more, but whatever God send me, it's got to be from him, because I ain't doing no picking. Because every time I pick up insecurities, jealousy, hurtfulness, so I don't pick. But I had to question, why y'all want to know my business? I don't trust everybody. Don't y'all know that I got all these problems? I came in broken. Now y'all want to break me some more? Still that denial piece. Still that denial piece. So when I did a more inventory, I brought all that up. I can't go in there with an open mind like that, Renee. You ain't gonna win if you come into this treatment trying to lie and trick and not act like you okay and like you got all the answers. Evidently, Renee, you didn't have all the answers. That's why you in therapy. That's why you went in inpatient treatment. That's why, come on, Renee, get that self-centeredness, that impulsiveness, that person that thought they had control over everything. You just want to act like you can take care, you the charge, you can do anything, you got everything, I'm in control when I was never in control. Even right now, I know how to make better decisions. I know how to look at hurtful things, even though it's going to hurt me. I'm still going to take it and I'm going to receive it, but I'm going to nurture it and see what part can I do that makes me feel better and not get in that situation again. That denial, man, is something else. I denied I even had a problem. Now I'm sitting up in Northwest General Hospital doing 28 days, and I'm sitting up here saying, now why am I here? These people's, they just want to be nosy. I don't need to be in here. I'm leaving. I'm leaving tomorrow. Satan was working on me. All because that self-centeredness steps in, and I want to go back and get high. And then God had to say, Renee, what did you say? What made you come in here? Now you got to figure out, why are you here? What must I do? How can I stay? Come to believe, Renee. Come to believe that a power greater than yourself can restore you. This is the only way you're going to get it. Is to come in here and start working on restoration, and get yourself together. Come in here, working on, God, restore me. You asked me, Renee, I put you in a place. Now you here. Look what you gonna do. You gonna run and go back to using? Man, that mind is cunning and baffling. But I found something out. I did not know it was after 3 o'clock. I am so sorry, y'all. I am holding y'all hostage. I get to talking, but step 4 is a good step Work it to your best. Work it with somebody. Deal with it for a while, and you're going to start coming into some hurdles and some thinking and overthinking and running at the same time, being clean. So try to do it with a sponsor. I thank God for allowing me to come up on this site and to realize that I have another day clean. Next week we will be on step 5. And step 5, admitted to God and to ourselves and to another human being, the second nature. Oh, that's mine. That's mine right here. Right here, y'all. I thought it was step 4, but it's step 5 too. So anyway, thank you. God bless you. You have a safe week. And check this out. Do something nice and kind for someone today. Love the peoples who don't love you. And pray for the ones who despise you. That lets you know right there you working on something different, better. I thank y'all so much. You are my friends. You are my family. And I thank God for allowing me and you to be together, to spend this hour and 15 minutes together. And for that, I'm grateful. If I can help anybody or help you understand or better understand, go to my YouTube page. It's on my thing. I'm on there now. God is working on me. I'm doing a book. I'm doing this. My hands is all over the place. My babies, he just working. He using me. And I'm letting him. Let God use you and put you and let him restore you and let him nurture you along when you nurturing yourself. Thank y'all so very much. I love you, Boom Boom. I love you, Leslie. I just seen you, Leslie. I love my sister Selena, my auntie Wanda. I love the New Direction Ministry. Thank y'all so much. And for the names that I done passed and the names that come on later on, I thank you. But I'm in the business of doing things for God. This wasn't me. This wasn't my desire. This was God who woke me up, and this is what he wanted me to do. And I listened to him for the first time in my life. I listened to a man that I cannot see, but I know that he loved me. I know I can feel him, and I know he's got my best interest. So that way we won't never lose. So talk to y'all later. God bless you. Let me say a prayer. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for being kind to us. And thank you for helping us out of any situation that we have been in or we in now or we will go in later on. Thank you for loving us and helping us how to deal with our loved ones that's gone, our kids, my son, my mother. I know Leslie, she deals with that with her daughter not being here. Bless her, God. Thank you, God, for allowing us to still hurt and still miss and still love. Thank you for that. That helps us nurture us. May you protect everyone that came up on this site or that's going to come up on this site, God. I thank you for that. I thank you for the nurturing. I thank you for the loving and caring and carrying us and carrying us and carrying us. I thank you for just who you are. And you, God, my understanding, and you have nurtured me through this site. God bless y'all. See you next week, Friday. Go visit my YouTube station. You won't regret the ones you'll miss, and just remember, we ain't all that. We just better than we was. And I have to learn that I am better than what I ever was. And thank y'all. Y'all, good evening. I'm finna go and see what I'm going to get into before it get nighttime. God bless you and you take care. If ain't nobody else told you they loved you, I have. Tell them Renee Williams said she loved me. Just for the day. Thank you.